by common consensus, this segment will be started by Aisha Farid.
And why is that?
Because
So the movie that I was waiting for finally gets the clearance by the Bombay High
So why don't you do
just
the
before you
honors?
start, though, I just wanted to know, were you waiting for this more than a Game of Thrones episode?
Don't put me in the spot. They're completely, well, chalk and cheese, so no comparisons here. Okay, but the movie finally gets the go-ahead from the Bombay High Court. So let's bring on board Sameer Nair, Group CEO at Balaji Telefilms. And Sameer, not just me, but I assure you, even Nikunj and Neeraj are as excited about watching the movie. Congratulations, firstly, it gets the go-ahead.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here, and thank you for the congratulations. Though I'm not sure we need congratulations just yet. It's a step in the right direction that we've got the go ahead to proceed with this movie. It's good for the industry, good for the movie, and we are very excited. It's a very good movie, and I think you guys are going to like it.
So for Balaji, what are the stakes on the table? How much you've invested? How much money you think you will be able to make? Because now the mass consensus would be interested in watching the movie after the controversy. So I'm sure the numbers would surprise all of us.
Well, actually, from a pure math point of view, this is it's a mid-sized movie. We've pre-sold a certain number of rights, things like music and satellite. The thing that's open is really the theatrical box office, which is the big deal. That's where also the real upside comes from. So yeah, we are excited. I mean, I don't know how well this movie does and what the eventual outcome is, but it's a really good movie, and we are pleased that it's sort of going ahead on schedule.
So I mean, just to understand the mathematics here, Sameer, how much money has Balaji put into producing the movie?
Well, actually, the movie is produced by Phantom. Okay. Balaji is the studio that has acquired the movie from Phantom. And then we are sort of partners going forward from there. So I think the total investment would be in the tune of about 40-45 crores. And, and then the revenues really come from the various streams, which is theatrical, overseas, music, satellite, digital, all of that. And yes, of course, there's a lot of excitement around the movie. There's a lot of interest. All of this conversation that's happened around the movie has generated a lot of curiosity. And it's good. I mean, so yeah, it's exciting.
You bet it has, Sameer. I tell you, 2 hours out of the last 7 hours on News Hour have been dedicated by Arnab to Udta Punjab. So, in a manner of speaking, I mean, on a lighter note, I'm saying there has been a lot of publicity even in that vein that has happened. However, I think the moot question that we wanted to ask was, you gave us an initial figure of 40, 45, 50 crores that you may have had to make as in terms of an investment. What's the upside here? I mean, is your upside on Udta Punjab capped because you would have sold the rights on various screening rights? Or if indeed the movie becomes a blockbuster, then you actually get a share of the upside as well. How would it work?
Well, actually, we will get a share of the upside because, the key element of revenue is the theatrical box office, which is, as yet, we are distributing it ourselves. So all the upside and the downside is to our account. The things that have been sold are things like music, which is fine, satellite, which is on a sliding scale, and then primarily box office. So yes, I mean, if the movie is to be a complete breakout hit, then the upside is there to be taken.
What is that sweet spot? How do you define what is a good movie, what is a breakout movie?
Well, I've been in the business too long to make any such predictions as to what's the sweet spot. The thing is that people must go and see the movie. It's, for all the hype and hoopla around it, at the end of the day, it's an important movie. It's a serious message. It's not, your conventional mainstream masala movie. It's like fantastic performances, Shahid, Alia, Kareena, Diljit. I mean, it's genuinely a terrific movie, and we hope it sort of grows on to become a cult hit of that kind. I don't know numbers really. I mean, it's a straightforward math. Whatever it does at the box office, you take a 45% net to the producer. That's the sort of thumb rule. So 100 means 45, 150. I mean, those are just the numbers to go with.
Are you looking at increasing the movie release in terms of theaters? Let's say if you're planning X number of theater releases about, with the original launch, are you looking at increasing that commitment?
It will be, I think that will be an outcome of how it sort of performs in the first weekend, and then the word of mouth that goes from there. We are, I think, opening with about 1600 screens, and and then sort of building from there. There's a lot of interest, of course. I mean, everyone wants the movie, but we are sort of, doing it in that manner. And then, of course, these things have a life of their own. As it people talk, people, tell each other about it, and it grows from there.
So how do global rights for a movie like Udta Punjab work? I mean, what's the model there?
Global as in view, I mean, it's distributed overseas theatrically. So then that is one sort of chunk of revenue. Then there is a separate sale of satellite that's done. Satellite usually is sold for India and international. There is now separately a digital right that's sold, which goes, to the Netflix and Amazon and platforms of that kind. Music, of course, is one, global sale. So, I mean, it's sort of syndicated in different ways, but primarily those are the 4-5 key revenue streams.
Samir, I don't know what kind of liberty do you have in terms of mentioning numbers, but I'm just trying to get a gauge out here. You mentioned that it's a 45% revenue sharing model. I hope it's a multiple 100 crore movie for you. But let's assume for token that it's a 100 crore movie, so you get 45 crores out of that. In addition to that, what's the quantum of money that you get from the things that you've already done? Because you mentioned that you've sold off music rights and a few other rights as well.
I can't give you exact numbers, but I mean, in addition to that, there would be the sale of the music, there would be the satellite, there would be digital, there would be overseas, there'd be a certain amount of money that comes in from branding and, brand integration. So I mean, it's that, it's different revenue streams, but I mean, the key is the box office performance for any movie.
Okay, yeah, and agreed, but I'm just wondering, all of the other things that you mentioned are 100% yours, or even they are in a sharing ratio?
No, that is 100% to the company, so to say. I mean, the overseas revenues are again shared, it's like standard theatrical distribution. But the rest of it is pretty much, to the account of the movie.
Just to clear the air, if the court would have not permitted the release of the movie, you would have lost about 40 crores? I mean, you should be celebrating because 40 crores is a lot of money.
No, it's not like that. I mean, first of all, it's like this whole court thing has been made out to be some kind of big victory. I don't know whether it's really a victory as much as just a step forward for the industry. Because, even the CBFC, the Central Board of Film Certification, is operating off guidelines that were, sort of formulated in 1952 or something. So they are operating in a particular way. And, gradually as, times evolve and, cinema evolves and, new expression comes forward, there has been a gradual push towards, loosening up these kind of, guidelines. So I think it's good for the industry per se. I think, the court, acting in its wisdom, has, set a way forward. But I mean, anyway, there's a process, I mean, you go to CBFC, you go to an examining committee, then you go to a revising committee, then you go to the tribunal, then you go to court. I mean, it's just a process. So, I mean, it's never really I don't think we've made the kind of movie that is, worthy of actually a ban. So, that was not really a real, concern in that sense.
I'm going to change the scope of the discussion and talk about Azhar. I've been told that the movie did rather well for you. So what were the collection numbers like there?
The movie did okay for us. I won't say rather well. It did okay. We sort of broke even on it. We didn't make a terrific profit on it, but we broke even. So, it's sort of, we came through with that.
When I spoke to you last time and when we interacted on the same forum, you said that FY17 will be a dramatically different year for Balaji because of two factors. Number one, online platform launch, and B, new movie releases. One has done okay for you, the other one hopefully will do very well for you. So for an FY17, if somebody has to ask you your business outlook, your revenue outlook, how radically will that be different?
I think it's looking really good so far. I mean, Azhar did decently. Now we got Udta Punjab. Then after that comes Great Grand Masti. Then comes a Flying Jet. Later in the year will come Half Girlfriend. So I mean, the year so far is looking good. Alt is on schedule. All the content is being created. That's looking good. The TV business is going gangbusters. So I mean, I think fiscal 17 is looking very promising as we speak. And hopefully Udta Punjab, sets us flying.
Okay, let's talk about your digital launch as well. Now, when you initially shared the idea with markets and with the press, it looked like a very novel and ahead of the curve idea. But a lot of development has happened talk about your digital launch as well. Now, when you initially shared the idea with markets and with the press, it looked like a very novel and ahead of the curve idea. But a lot of development has happened in last 6 months. Netflix has arrived in India. Other media houses also, they already have launched the beta version of the digital platform. So some would argue that are you now behind the race? Are you lagging? You wanted to be a leader, but now you could be entering a market which already has become crowded.
Well, I mean, there are different ways of looking at it. I don't think leadership is about being first. I think leadership is about being best. So yes, of course, there are other players. There were always going to be other players. They always had their own timelines. So I mean, the way I see it is that it's good because we've got to see what everyone else is doing. We've got to see what everyone else has done. It allows us to, calibrate whatever we are doing to any effect if we wish to. But most importantly, we are, pretty much focused on what we are looking to do. We remain pretty unique in our offering of, 100% original content. Players like Netflix and Amazon, it's all good for the market, The more people who are in the market and the more people who collectively work towards building the consumption of online video is good for the industry per se. And then after that, I mean, it's like the TV business, right? In the beginning, there were so many TV channels and then, some succeed and some don't. But the industry grows. So I think it's good. I mean, I think there are good players in the market. I think people are getting more used to online video. And with regard to leadership, I mean, best beats first every time.
Fair call. Sameer, all the best with the collections as well. As we said, we hope it's multiple 100 crores for you and the team. But thanks so much for joining in.
Thank you so much.
And all the best with the movie.
And please see the movie for sure.
Oh, trust me.
For sure.
Trust me, Sameer. You have one confirmed viewer and 2 viewers who are probably on the fringes, but now are definitely going to go in. Thanks so much for joining in.
Super. Thank you so much. Thanks. Bye.
That's Balaji Telly with their thoughts on the release and some numbers out there for people to crunch as well. 45% out of the total box office collections. That's the key thing. They've spent about 45 crores for this movie. So viewers can do the math. They'll get to know about in a week's time or 2 weeks' time what's the quantum of collection that Udta Punjab is likely to do. Let's see. What's the guess, guys? Let's lay a small bet here. Northwards of 100 crores?
Easily.
Nikunj?
Well, it looks logical, isn't it? 1,500 screens on which they would be releasing. All publicity is good
publicity, and I think this entire controversy has only done wonders to the movie.
Anybody betting on 200 crores?
That'll be a stretch, won't it be?
It'll be a stretch?
Good touch.
Okay. So
it'll be a stretch. We'll look at it.
Let's see, I'll be the referee. Nikunj is saying 200 is a stretch.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch. I mean, I still feel that it's not... There's something which is mass market, there's mass appeal. I think for a movie to become mass market, mass appeal, it has to have a Khan factor, it has to have a mass appeal factor. This is more like a social movie, so it's great, but nothing beyond that according to me.
Well, on a lighter way, it's got a Khan.
Kareena Kapoor.
Nevertheless, I think onto more serious things, and outside of Udta Punjab, something that has been very, very crucial has been the GST meet by 22 finance ministers, and you heard Union Finance Minister Arun Jaitley make a mention towards how their intention is that there should be a rollout April 1st, 2017. But from the looks of it, it was a successful meeting yesterday. Everybody's saying about how this is a big, big move for logistic companies as well. GST inching towards a reality. We thought it's best to get one of the management